Welcome to another episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste. I am your host, Shiro-chan. Today is August 4th, 2019. Got a lot of really cool stories to go over this week, so let's get right down to it, shall we? In Yu-Gi-Oh! News, Konami announces next Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG booster set, Mystic Fighters. This week, Konami revealed the next booster set coming to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, Mystic Fighters. Now, this set is simple yet powerful, as it will be an all-foil pack of 60 cards, containing 40 super rares and 20 secret rares. It will contain 3 new strategies for the trading card game, and is set to hit the market on November 22nd. Each pack will contain 5 cards. I have here the cover art for the packs, as well as some information regarding each of the 3 new strategies included in the set. I'll make sure to include this information in the show notes for this episode. Pretty much all we have for Yu-Gi-Oh! News this week. On to the next segment. In Pokemon news, rumor, data miners uncover all free story mode sync pairs for Pokemon Masters up to Chapter 18. Today, it seems data miners have uncovered a few more free sync pairs that will be coming to the game, possibly when it launches officially later this year. Currently, the story mode for the preview version of Pokemon Masters only goes up to Chapter 13, with each chapter adding a new sync pair to the player's roster upon completion. Data miners have since managed to pull a full list of all story recruited sync pairs up to Chapter 18, the amount of chapters the developers previously hinted the game would launch with. For reference, there is a full list of free sync pairs unlocked through the story, which I will add to the show notes. The new data mine characters are Viola and Surskit, Nanu and Alolan Persian, Koga and Crobat, Exrola and Palossand, and Sharing and Stoutland. Once again, these are not a complete list of all the trainers currently available for play in Pokemon Masters. The bulk of the game's playable cast is only accessible through the game's Sync Pair Scout system, for which a full list of available sync pairs can be found, and I will provide the web address for that list. Pokemon Masters is scheduled to launch sometime in summer 2019, which they're kind of close since we are already into August here. A preview of the game is now live for Android devices in Singapore, with plans for it to hit Canada sometime later. That's all we have for Pokemon news this week. On to the next segment. Before we get to our next segment, a quick word from our sponsors. Hey everybody, I really do hope you love Hazardous Verbal Waste. Did you know that you can actually get paid just for listening to this podcast? I know, it sounds insane, but it's true. We just discovered this free new app called Podcoin, and it literally pays you to listen to podcasts. Here's how it works. You listen to podcasts, and you earn Podcoin while you listen. Then you turn that Podcoin in for gift cards at places like Amazon or Starbucks, or if you're a good person, you could even donate that Podcoin to charity. The more you listen, the more you earn. So here's what you do. Download the app right now on iPhone or Android, and I have a special code for you. Simply use our code HAZARDOUS, and you'll get 300 Podcoin just for signing up. And if you listen to enough of us on there, you can get a cappuccino at Starbucks or an Amazon gift card on us. So go ahead and go listen to this podcast, or virtually any podcast on Podcoin, and sign up with code HAZARDOUS. I swear it'll change the way you listen to podcasts. In Magic the Gathering news, Magic the Gathering Judge Program to be replaced by Independent Judge Academy. For decades, parent company Wizards of the Coast has overseen a judging program to train and assign sanctioned judges at tournaments for its collectible card game Magic the Gathering. Now, that program is coming to an end. Beginning on October 1st, an independent organization called the Judge Academy will begin handling a majority of judge-related tasks, including leadership, level structure, educational program, and promotional distribution, said Sarah Mox, community manager for the Judge Network at Wizards of the Coast, in a blog post about the change. Quoted, "This new organization offers an opportunity to bring clear leadership and direction for Magic judges, and Wizards is committed to supporting its success as the community continues to grow, Mox said. The Judge Academy is owned by Tim Shields, the operator of Cascade Games, a company that organizes tabletop and gaming events. Shields already has the support of Magic Judge News, a resource website for certified Magic judges. In a blog post authored by the program coordinators, judges reasoned out their support for Shields' new organization. Quoted, "We found out that Tim was very passionate about helping judges, and that he also has business skills and experience that are not easily available among judges. He was also committed to involving judges in the management of the organization. After a month of discussions, we concluded that in both logistical execution and overall vision, Tim's plan gave the Judge program a better chance for success in the future." On Tuesday, the Judge Academy conducted a Reddit AMA thread to field players' questions about the change. Sorting by top questions and comments, it's clear that players are particularly curious about how the Academy will function as a for-profit organization. Quoting, "One of many issues raised was that the publishers have corporate giving guidelines that limit which nonprofits they can support and under what conditions," the Academy responded. Not only that, but the guidelines were different from company to company, and in order to ensure the long-term success of Judge Academy, we chose not to move forward as a nonprofit. On Epic Stream, Magic the Gathering writer and streamer Jake Viper collected a series of players' skeptical tweets about whether a for-profit structure makes sense. Players particularly questioned the Academy's future transparency and use of funds, to which the organization replied, quoting, "We will always address concerns, and there will be plenty of opportunities for people to see where some of the money is going. The structural change harkens back to a series of 2015 and 2016 lawsuits by Magic the Gathering judges against Wizards of the Coast in federal court that brought into question whether or not judges are employees of Wizards. By transferring most judge oversight to an independent company, Wizards has neatly excused itself from further similar conflicts. The transition will begin on October 1st, by which time current program coordinators' contracts will expire and pass on to community managers with the Judge Academy. At launch, there will be 10 regions under Academy management that will constitute about 75% of judges worldwide, according to a statement by Nicolette Aprazi, Judge Program Manager at the Judge Academy. That's pretty much all we have for Magic the Gathering news this week. On to the next segment. In gaming news, the problem of pricing Nintendo Switch ports at $60. Nintendo Switch, for all its glorious features and killer first-party titles, isn't necessarily the shining example of a consumer-first product. The Nintendo Bump, or the Nintendo Tax, were not terms born out of complete nonsense. Despite the broad appeal of Nintendo properties young and old, the platform has become something of a premium experience when it comes to games. For starters, Nintendo's beloved first-party titles hold onto their high price tags for a rather extended period of time within the gaming industry. Typically, one could expect to find a great deal on a one-year-old game. And I'm not just referring to third-party titles, but also highly popular first-party titles on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. If Nintendo operated in the same manner, one could normally expect a game like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild to be a $19.99 game at this point. But if you did expect that, then obviously you don't know Nintendo. This semi-premium pricing structure that squeezes gamers on a budget doesn't only sit with Nintendo's first-party titles any longer. With the advent of the Nintendo Switch and its mobile popularity, third-party titles and ports from past generations tend to carry a steep price tag as well. If we look at this conundrum through the lens of quality, what exactly deems quality? Mortal Kombat 11 on Nintendo Switch, for example, released side by side with other platforms. Graphically, the game doesn't maintain the same visual fidelity as the PlayStation 4 version. This much is obvious due to the Switch's lesser powered hardware. Even moments such as the character select screen were altered with a different presentation in order to accommodate the Switch. Yet the Switch version of the game was released at $59.99, despite the higher quality versions also carrying the same price tag. This then comes down to the question of what players value. Is mobility more important than visual detail, frame rates, and not cutting corners to satisfy lesser powered hardware? The answer might vary from person to person. As a gamer who owns both a Switch and Xbox One, I usually opt for the more visually impressive version that represents higher quality than mobility. But then the question remains, do publishers consider the mobility of the Nintendo Switch the counterbalance to a step down in quality? If mobility is in fact the counterbalance to lower quality playability and visuals, it's easy to assume that matching the price of the other platforms is logical to a degree, but that isn't what traditionally happens. Doom launched in 2016 for the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Almost a year and a half later, the demon-slaying first-person shooter made its debut on the Nintendo Switch. At a time when Doom was $19.99 with superior playability and graphical quality on other platforms, the Switch version was launched at $59.99. Again, make no mistake, I get that some consumers wanted the opportunity to take the game with them on the go. I also understand that the Nintendo Switch debut was the hard work of a separate developer, and that version was brand new. But as of the time of this podcast, none of that explains why Doom for the Nintendo Switch is still $60 on Amazon, almost 2 years after its release. Bethesda is hardly the first developer to offer a premium pricing for a game just because it's on the Nintendo Switch. Think about the other ports of old and new games that we're getting on the Switch, like Dark Souls or Devil May Cry. Capcom's 18-year-old game Devil May Cry can be yours for $19.99 on the Nintendo Switch. But if you have an Xbox One, players can snag the entire trilogy for just $17.29 on Amazon. The Witcher 3 is about to make its debut on the Nintendo Switch console. It doesn't matter that we're 4 years removed from the game's original release, and that the Switch will obviously see a decrease in quality. While Nintendo has always held its properties in high regard with its Disney-esque pricing, third parties only started taking part in the Nintendo bump with the Nintendo Switch. And clearly, this heightened popularity is a product of Nintendo Switch's mobile and multiplayer functionality, features that have proven to not be a gimmicky one-time fad like the motion control-centric Wii. Regardless, gamers who partake in an expensive hobby are left asking, why? Despite opting for performance, I do value mobility and would easily buy Doom a second time on my Nintendo Switch if the price decreased with time like games naturally tend to do. It's the simple rules of supply and demand. I'd buy multiple games twice just to have a mobile version alongside a home version on a more powerful console. Pricing is simply too high to justify having both for many. For that reason, fans on a budget will likely select third-party titles that will offer more bang for their hard-earned dollars. That's all we have for gaming news this week. On to the final thoughts. Before we get to the final thoughts of the episode, a few words from some other shows you might find entertaining.
Looking into the darkness, you can feel your heart racing. The heaviness of sorrow and dread take control, and the voice inside you says, don't go in there. Now join your host, Ashley Ernie and Bill Reed, as we venture down the weird and mysterious.
Find the Don't Go In There podcast on your favorite podcast listening app, and remember, don't go in there.
What's up, everybody? My name's Tim from the Shut Up and Dad podcast, and I hope you're enjoying this show. If you're looking for some laughs after you finish listening to this episode, come check out Shut Up and Dad. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and your favorite podcast platform by searching Shut Up and Dad, or simply head to our website, shutupanddad-podcast.com, where you can listen to episodes, read our blog, and find links to our show. That's shutupanddad-podcast.com.
Well, here we are at the end of yet another episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste. I covered a lot of really cool stuff. The announcement of the newest Yu-Gi-Oh set, the end of the current Magic the Gathering Judge program, and a lot more. If you would like to comment on any of the stories I covered in this episode, or if you have any suggestions for the next episode, there are several ways you can contact me and the show. You can use the contact form on the show's site, hazardousverbal.com. You can leave a voice message through Skype. The Skype ID is Ichimoto1. You can send me an email at hazardousverbal@gmail.com. Or you can reach me through any of my or the show's social media accounts. Until next time, this is Shiro-chan, signing off. Peace.